What's up, dedicated Dragon Ball denizens? I'm Ryan, and we're here for another episode of the Hawks Dragon Ball Nest. Today, we'll get into my other deck I played in Regionals Day 2, which was Vegito. Now, this one, to be honest, is a much better deck. I think it actually had a chance of getting top 16, if not better. I'll explain why, more so in the demo of the deck, but this time I'll give you the overview of it. We'll go over each card, why I included it, the strategy, strengths, and weaknesses of the deck, and then finally we'll give couple cards I'd switch out, and this one's a little bit different from the other videos that you'll see from me because there's nothing new I would add, but there's a change I would make, and we'll get into that later on. But anyway, for now, let's get into what we came to do. Alright, now overall, Vegito is my favorite deck to play right now. I've had so much fun playing Vegito. I wish I would have done better in the regionals. I think that there was definitely some piloting issues. I made a couple mistakes, and I could have started 4-0 with this deck and probably almost been guaranteed a spot in the top 16. And one of those wins could have been against the Jiren player that won it all. I forget his name, I'm sorry. But I was a misplay away from probably winning. It wouldn't have been a for sure win, but probably. So anyway, let's jump into it, right? Okay, so here's the deck up here on the left, and we'll start with, I guess, the unflipped version of Vegito, right? So just a regular card overall at first, right? When attacking, draw a card, 15k power, and then when awakening, that's where it gets a little bit interesting. Right, so when your life is at 4 or less, place the top 10 cards of your deck into their owner's drop, then flip this card over. So he doesn't draw on flip, but he does mill 10 cards, and then we'll see what's going on here. Right, so permanent, your turn. If you have 20 or more cards in your drop, this card gets 20,000 power. So now he is going to be hitting for 40k. When attacking, he does get to draw a card, so that is good. Right, all right, so let's jump into the real meat and potatoes of this deck, right? The potatoes. Anyway, so now let's go through, right? We've got a ton of one costs in this deck. So Pan, which is 5k power, 10k combo, so that's actually pretty nice. On play, draw 2 cards, then discard 2 from your hand. And, you know, there's some cool ways to play this. Not only does it help us to mill, but there's even specific cards we want to mill. Spoiler alert, our 6-cost Vegito. Right, and then of course, you know, I'm gonna be honest, I tried making this deck without Pilaf. He's just too good to not include. So of course we've got 4 Pilafs in here for his 10k combo and ability to grab other cards from drop with him, right? And then we've got both of the Trunks cantrips. Draw a card. This one's really important. When with this build, we need this Trunks Youth as one of the cantrips. You can go with whatever you want for the second cantrip, but you know, I'm a big Trunks fan, so we've got Trunks Mini as our second one. Right, so that's going to be 3, but we've kind of got a cheated cantrip here, which is our Goten. So 2 cost, 15k power, 10k combo. On play, if you have 7 or fewer cards in your hand, draw a card. Now, also important to have this one for the build. We'll talk about why in just a second, but essentially we want to get this guy out turn 2 when we still have 7 or fewer. You could kind of do what you want with him from there, whether you just combo him away to increase your attack, defend with him, or attack. He's only a 15k, so he's not providing a ton of power, but he can do a lot in a pinch later in the game, right? Then my other 2 costs is going to be this Vegeta. He's really like kind of the easiest way. Like, you don't need to mill a ton of cards with this deck because we are defending, but I felt like I did for really, I'm using this guy when I'm getting aggroed and like, okay, I need to get those last 3 cards in there. They left me at 5. I know that they're going to go hard next turn, so I might as well get myself a nice 40k attack or something. So when attacking, add 1 card from your life to your hand, then place the top 3 cards of your deck into the drop. So he kind of helps me get over the top. You know, solid card. He is for 2 cost a 20k attacker. He's got 5k combo as well. Right. Okay, so now is the Gotenks, or old tanks as I like to call them. So that's the reason why we need the 1-cost Trunks and the Trunks Youth and our 2-cost Son Goten, right? So this guy's coming in here and helping us give more draw power. And also helping us get from drop. I mean, the thing about this deck, and you've seen a version of this deck that I created early on in FB05, and so this is really the refined version of it where I just simplified it. And so activate main, place this card into its owner's drop. If you have 10 or more cards in drop, play a Goten in Trunks with a cost of 2 or less in rest mode. So it helps us to play those 2 cards and then draw 2 while also being able to attack once, right? So it kind of helps you sometimes flip the hand advantage in one turn, and then they're forced to deal with that Goten. If they don't deal with the Goten and Trunks, sometimes they forget to, and now what I'm going to do is just use that Goten and the Trunks comboing up to 20k for kind of a free leader swing next turn. Obviously, this guy goes into drop, so think about that, but that's all right. We move into the 4 cost. Is going to be our Son Gohan Adolescence. Now, I really wanted to keep Gotenks in this deck, the 4 cost one. A little bit more power, a little bit of mill strength, but you know, I just couldn't deny that this was the better card to play overall. The ability to bottom deck 2 3 costs, you know, we really want to focus on keeping our board as clear as possible without attacking, because we don't have a lot of low cost strong attackers. So the Gohan gives us a 30k body while at the same time bottom decking 2 3 costs. Just too good to keep out. So I got 2 of them. I'd actually like to go up to 3, and I would have had I thought of that in a way prior to bringing my deck and being up there for regionals. Right. All right. Now this one is our other kind of key card for this deck, is this Vegito. He sees a little bit of play, but I really build this deck around him, right? So he's only a 15k power, 4 cost, 10k combo, so that's good. So activate main for 2 energy, discard a card from your hand, place this card into drop. If you have 10 or more cards in drop, you get a Vegito played with 5 or 6. So I only am playing the 6 drop. Because in my opinion, this is how I'm going to play my Vegitos. If I'm going to do this and kind of get a net of 6, probably less, of 6 used, then I'm going to want to be playing that 6 cost. And you'll kind of see the mechanic on how to do this as I go through, right? So that's our Vegito, right? I'm going to go ahead and play. Actually, let's get this guy up, the cooler alt art, right? I'm playing 2 of these guys. Nice little floodgate. He really is a situational card. If I'm seeing certain types of decks that really want to go hard on those 3 cost cards, then I can just block that and get that going. He's also solid. Sometimes I'll even play him before having 20 in drop, just to return a card of 4 or less to my opponent's hand. Let's say they've got a 4 or less out there. So that means the Gohan's not going to be too useful for me. So I'll go ahead and throw him out there. I don't really like to, because I prefer him to go out there when there's 20 or more. But, you know, he's a 30k body. So, you know, if you got to play him, you got to play him. He's still good. And now here is one of our other cards. I mean, there's a lot of kind of key cards to this deck, is what makes it funny, is our Goku Black. So I went ahead and played 4 of these Goku Blacks because I feel like if it's really like, this is my win con on that, and I need to draw this card. I need to not mill them. Any other card here I can mill, because I can pull it back with the Goku Black. So I cannot risk milling all of them. I had the match I lost against Jiren, I couldn't find my Goku Black because I had milled 3 of them. So guess what happened? I'm going in. My next turn I'm going to go for win. I've got a Vegito on board, I think, or I was going to play one. And if I just would have had a Goku Black, I would have got it. So stupidly, I defended life. Figured out when I lost it, that next life was the Goku Black. Could have won. So when he's that much in win con, you got to play 4. Even though you're usually not wanting to play that many of like these big 6 costs, you need to do that here. So on play, add up to 1 card with 4 less from your drop to your hand. Usually I want that to be Vegito. Other times, if I already have the Vegito in hand, I may even just opt for a Savior of the Universe. Or I may opt for some other cards too. Sometimes I'll grab a Pilaf, and if I've got an extra energy to use, I mean, you could grab whatever the heck you want. But the ideal way to go is that you can play the game knowing that if you need to combo away your Vegito 4 cost, then that's okay. We could just grab them right back and either play him this turn or play him the next turn, right? Because when attacking, if you have 7 or fewer cards in hand, play up to 1 battle card with 4 or less from your hand. All right, so we could play that Vegito for free. So ideally, we want to be at 8 energy when we play that Vegito, because it's too risky to have him removed or not. So you may play something else. Until then, you might. Sometimes I'm actually going to go ahead and I'll get him back, but I'll play this guy to help me draw, because I really want to survive till 8 charge. So I might play him and attack and then charge. I might play my other 4 cost Vegito. I might play Gohan. But on the turn I win, I want to be at 8 energy, or at least have him out for a turn and not have to play him for 6. Play that 4 cost for free, and then attack. A lot of times, remember, he's only 15k combo, this guy is, so I'm also going to want to combo up to at least 20, and really, in that one, I just want him to, like, waste cards, and then, boom, we can pop him and play our big dog. So think about this. You know, we're going to do Goku Black, 140k swing into that Vegito, right? Vegito 4 costs the second swing. And then we're going to pop that Vegito, and we're going to get this guy for 2 more 40k swings. And guess what? We forgot. We still got our Vegito leader that can swing again. And if we can get ourselves down to having 0 cards in deck, he gets 10k power. Like, this is just a crazy win game. And if I'm able to get there, nobody's going to beat this deck. Nobody's going to beat it. Those were when I was able to get this set up, things went really well for me. I can just at some point like ignore board. You know, when we're hitting with the 40k swing every turn, as long, you know, I'm either going to be hitting and destroying their battle cards, a lot to defend, or I'm just going to start just going straight for them. A lot of times I can get them down to 3 life by the time I get this Vegito out, and 3 life with all of those swings, it's going to be tough to defend. It's going to be real hard. But let's back up one more. I've got Zen-Oh. I went with 4 Zen-Ohs. Another card that I just feel like, you know what? He's got 10k power, combo power. If I need to really just reset, sometimes by the time I do get to that 8 charge, their board is crazy. I can go reset their board for even 2 turns if I want to until I get to 8 charge, and it just buys me time where I can defend with other cards from there. So that's all the battle cards. You know, we've got our Pan as our super combo. In my opinion, come on, if you're playing Savior of the World, why would you not play Pan? They've got the same pose, you know. I don't know if anybody's noticed that, but they got the same pose. Anyway, let's move on. Then I've got Sinister Sickle. So I played 3. I played 3 at regionals. I would actually bump this up to 4. And then now I'm pretty much like extremely consistent on my cards. The only thing, you know, I was consistent on everything except seeing my Gohans and my Sickles, only having 3. Everything else I have 4, so I have a good chance of seeing them. So there were a few battles where I just couldn't find what I needed fast enough. Okay, so now this is my last card. I'm going to talk about it, but I'm also going to talk about the fact that I admit this card sucks. It's a terrible card. I think I liked the idea of it. You know, activating main, choosing my Vegito, and he can get potentially swinging for 60 to 70k twice, or at least 61, 70 once. Nobody's going to survive that, but I just wasn't quite making it. Okay, I didn't use this card one time in the regionals, and thinking about the fact that I needed another Sickle and a Gohan, let's just remove these 2 and put a Sickle and a Gohan. Now I'm up to 4 Sickles, 3 Gohans. Much better, right? So that's what I would do, but I wanted to stick with what I actually played at regionals for this demo, so that's what we're going to do. Let's go over the strategy, strengths, and weaknesses of the deck. So the strategy is early, just build up your hand as much as possible and keep the board as clear as possible. Work on ensuring also that you get that Trunks youth and Goten youth into your drop, so that you can make sure that you can play them out. So also that means it's important, like if you're playing against a blue deck, be careful with putting them on board because they might just get bottom decked. So think about that in terms of Trunks and Goten. That was one of my main misplays that could have cost me game 2 is I occasionally would pop my Gotenks without making sure that I had it in drop, and I only was able to draw 1 because I only had 1 of those 2. So that's important. So early is really build hand. Keep your board clear. It's kind of like the mid game when you're going with our Sickles or you're going with your Gohans. So that's kind of from there. And then late we're just going into Goku Black. Goku Black into Vegito. Pop that Vegito into the 6 cost and just have fun. It's such a fun move to do when you really hit on it. It feels good. You know, it feels good. Okay, so the strengths, despite us having like crazy top end power, it has extremely good defense early because of so much draw power. And also, if you didn't notice, there's a ton of 10k combo cards here. You know, these late combo cards, these late game cards are having 0 combos, you know, with our 4 cost and onwards. But we've got a ton of cards that have 10k combo, like over 20 in the deck. So that's pretty good. It gives us great defense, and not only are we getting our hand size to be huge, but then our combo power is huge, especially considering, like, yeah, we're going to mill some supers, but we've got plenty of Savior of the Worlds in there to allow us to just play defense after we're awakened for less, right? Weaknesses, it can be susceptible to aggro if they get on you too quickly before you're able to get those 10 cards in drop, then we're going to struggle. And also an aggro deck isn't always going to let us get up to turn 8, which ideally we win on turn 8. As I mentioned, it just allows us to go Goku Black into Vegito into the 6-cost Vegito. So you may have to kind of switch it up and know that, okay, we're not going to get to turn 8. So it is susceptible to that. It takes time to get going. We know that as well. And then the milling is a big thing. Like, I did build this deck to where even if we mill things, we can kind of keep that consistency. But a lot of times it does hurt. You know, for one, super combos are a big thing. They can know when you mill 2 or 3 super combos, they have that in their mind when they go for game. Of course, you know, the Savior of the World adds a little bit of a twist to it. But it does, the super combos are big, you know, they're a much bigger thing, right? So that's kind of it for the deck. Overall, though, I think it's a very well-rounded deck. There's no matchups that are just like really terrible for them. Probably the toughest is the Gotenks, where they're ripping your hand, especially if you can't awaken quick enough, because then you may have a hand of Savior of the Worlds that you can't even use yet. So that kind of makes it tough. But that's kind of that. And I'm going to have probably my shortest other cards to consider ever. And I kind of already mentioned this earlier, right? I love this build of the deck. I wouldn't really change anything. I think I've worked on it so much. I've played this deck so much throughout this. And I mentioned, if you watched my first Vegito deck demo and overview video, you know, I really worked hard on this deck. So I wouldn't change really anything except, like I said, eliminating the Unrivaled Fusion Father to add one more Gohan Adolescence, which would put me up to 3, and one more Sinister Sickle, which would put me up to 4. And then we've got 3 or 4 copies of everything. In fact, we have 4 copies of everything except Vegito. Vegito, which we're going to stick with 3 and 3 on. I'm sorry, 2 of the 4-cost Vegitos, and then 3 of these Vegitos. And then the only other one would be 3 of these bad boys, and we got 4. So in a deck where you're milling, then that really helps with the consistency. And we can know that, okay, if I mill 2 or 3, I've still got 1 left. So that is the only other cards I would swap out in this deck. And that's going to do it for this episode of the Hawks Dragon Ball Nest. Hope you enjoyed this overview and profile of my Vegito deck from Regionals. Again, I think that I could have done even better if I just had a little bit better of a piloting. I want to see what you guys think. If you could put this in action and do anything good with it, definitely let me know in the comments what you think of this list, what you would change, what you think is good and bad. I mean, I obviously took out like the whole bomb coup stuff in there. It just wasn't really working out for me. It also makes this deck really good against the bomb coup package, because I don't have to worry about if I see another Vegito getting floodgated, because my attackers are 4+, whereas they're really going to be focusing on that. So, you know, we've got that in there. But if you liked what you saw, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Become part of the Hawks Nest. You know, we're actually about 8 subs away, maybe even less by the time this video drops from reaching 100. And oh man, I would just really appreciate getting to 100. That would put me about 20% towards monetization. Right now, I don't do this full time. I just do this on the weekends. I would love to one day be able to just work on these rogue decks non-stop for you all. Work on these decks non-stop. Get some even crazier content out there. So please hit that subscribe button if you like what you see, so you can become part of the nest. We are a fearless flock of fabulous folks who love to do what we love. I love doing this. I'd love to do it more. If you're not quite ready to fly it, though, you know what? That's okay. No harm done. I won't hold it against you. Just hit that like button at least. Leave a comment, and we'll show up in an algorithm near you in the near future. But until then, we'll see you next time.